I think it's time for a rant video, guys. Get ready. What's up, everyone? Eber here with Hardware Canucks, and I just want to make this quick video regarding the LG G7 One. Now, if you recall, I did take a look at this device a few weeks ago, and I had a lot of great things to talk about this smartphone, particularly the design. It's a subtle shift from the G7 ThinQ, but I really like the satin black finish on the rear side of the phone. You are missing on a key features. For example, you don't get the wide-angle camera. You also don't get wireless charging and a few other things. But I mean, when you look from an overall perspective, I think it looks very similar to the G7. The best of all is actually the software that's running on the smartphone. So LG actually did partner up with Google to enlist the G7 One under their Android One program. So it is running a clean stock version of Android, which I really appreciate. In fact, it's probably one of the first reasons, or one of the reasons why I really wanted to recommend this device until I started taking a look at the pricing here in Canada. The whole situation is a complete mess, so I want to talk about that. All right, so let's get to the bread and butter of this video, and that is pricing for the G7 One. So I live here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and my primary cell phone carrier is Fido. So I was just curious enough to test or just check out the pricing for the G7 One off contract, and I was just trying to pick the jaws off my floor here. So off contract, this thing costs $799 with Fido and $899 with Bell, which is also another carrier. And I'm just trying to process that over my head, just because if you look at the conversion rates, $899 Canadian is roughly $680, $685. Let's just say it's $700 with all the with all the taxes and all that kind of stuff. That's a complete ripoff. I mean, if you look at the whole market situation right now with smartphones, there are so much better options in the market. So for example, one of the things that just pops into my head is the recently announced OnePlus 6T that costs $549 USD. That's a lot cheaper than the G7 One if you just do the conversion rates. Now, when you analyze it from a specs perspective, the OnePlus 6T comes with the latest processor, so in this case, Snapdragon 845. It's got 6 gigs of RAM as the base start model, and it comes with 120 gigabytes at $549, which is insane. When you compare that to something like the G7 that offers a slightly older CPU, like the Snapdragon 835, and 32 gigs of storage with 4 gigs of RAM, it really questions these insane markups with these Canadian carriers. You also have other great options like the Nokia 7.1 that costs around $350 US, and a whole lot more because these phones are all targeted towards the Android One program. And Google initially started this program to sort of create this mid-range smartphone category without really compromising on a lot of Android, or I guess the features that the Android operating system offers. And I was really expecting the G7 One to be priced around $400 to $450 US. But when I looked at the Canadian pricing, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Now, interestingly enough, the G7 One is expected to launch in India for around 30,000 rupees. And when you do the math, it's roughly equivalent to 540 Canadian dollars. Or if you do the conversion to American, it's going to be a lot less. So this tells us something here. The communication between LG and the majority of the Canadian, service providers is a little bit complicated, or I think the whole communication is a little messed up. I think they're trying to rip off their customers, Canadian customers to be more specific, and I'm not exactly sure if this is going to follow along when the phone eventually launches in the United States or other countries around the world, specifically in Europe. I'm concerned, I'm angry, I'm lost. At this point, I really can't recommend the G7 One to anyone out there because, as I mentioned earlier, there are far better options for a lot less. And so that about wraps up this rant video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you guys think about the whole pricing situation in Canada. Specifically, if you're a Canadian follower, I want to hear your thoughts on this whole pricing situation with the G7 One. What do you guys think about it? Love to know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Eber with Hardware Canucks. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out some relevant content over here. Subscribe to our new Boot Sequence channel for the latest tech news and rumors. And we'll see you in the next one.